Namaste, Dandava Pranam. By the instruction and grace of our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Shripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are here reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Canto 3, the Status Quo, Chapter 17, Text 31. Viram arad apipadya vismaya, Vaisha sevira saye, Svabir vrita, Yastvad vidhanam, Asatam prashantaye, Rupani date sad anugrahe chaya. Varuna continued, on reaching him, you will be rid of your pride at once, and will lie down on the battlefield, surrounded by dogs for eternal sleep. It is in order to exterminate wicked fellows like you, and to show his grace to the virtuous, that he assumes his various incarnations like Varaha. Purport. Asuras do not know that their bodies consist of the 5 elements of material nature, and that when they fall, they become objects of pastimes for dogs and vultures. Dandavat Pranam Uma Devi. Hare Krishna. Varuna advised Hiraṇyākṣa to meet Vishnu in his boar incarnation so that his hankering for aggressive war would be satisfied and his powerful body would be vanquished. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 3rd Canto, 17th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Victory of Hiraṇyākṣa over all the directions of the universe. Chapter 18. The battle between Lord Boar and the demon Hiraṇyākṣa. Text 1. Maitreya uvacha tad evam akarnya jalisha bashitam mahamanastad viganaya dwarmadaha arer vidritva gatim anga naradad Rasatalam nirvivishe svaran vitaha. Maitreya continued, the proud and falsely glorious Daitya pay little heed to the words of Varuna, O dear Vidura. He learned from Narada the whereabouts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and hurriedly betook himself to the depths of the ocean. Purport. Materialistic warmongers are not even afraid to fight with their mightiest enemy, the personality of Godhead. The demon was very encouraged to learn from Varuna that there was one fighter who could actually combat him, and he was very enthusiastic to search out the Supreme Personality of Godhead just to give him a fight, even though it was predicted by Varuna that by fighting with Vishnu he would become prey for dogs, jackals, and vultures. Since demoniac persons are less intelligent, they dare to fight with Vishnu, who is known as Ajita, or one who has never been conquered. Text 2. Tadarsha tatra bijitam daradaram proniyaman navinim agradamstraya mushantam akshnasva rucho runashriya Jahasa chaho vana gocharo mriga. He saw there the all-powerful personality of Godhead in his boar incarnation, bearing the earth upward on the ends of his tusks and robbing him of his splendor with his reddish eyes. The demon laughed. Oh, an amphibious beast. Purport. In a previous chapter, we have discussed the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Varaha, the boar. While Varaha, with his tusks, engaged in uplifting the submerged earth from the depths of the waters, this great demon, Hiraṇyākṣa, met him and challenged him, calling him a beast. Demons cannot understand the incarnations of the Lord, They think that his incarnations as a fish or a boar or a tortoise are big beasts only. They misunderstand the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even in his human form, and they deride his descent. In the Chaitanya Sampradaya, there is sometimes a demoniac misconception about the descent of Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu's body is spiritual, but demoniac persons consider the body of the Supreme Personality of God to be material, just like ours. Avajanantimam mudha. Persons who have no intelligence deride the transcendental form of the Lord as material. Text 3. Ainam ehagya mahim vimunchano rasokasam vishva srijayam arpita nasvasti yasyanaya mamekshataha suradamasādita sukarakrite. The demon addressed the Lord. O best of the demigods dressed in the form of a boar, just hear me. This earth is entrusted to us, the inhabitants of the lower regions, and you cannot take it from my presence and not be hurt by me. Purport. Sridhar Swami, commenting on this verse, states that although the demon wanted to deride the personality of Godhead in the form of a boar, actually he worshipped him in several words. For example, he addressed him as Vanagochara, which means one who is a resident of the forest. But another meaning of Vanagochara is one who lies on the water. Vishnu lies on the water, so the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be properly addressed in this way. The demon also addressed him as Mriga, indicating unintentionally that the Supreme Personality is sought after by great sages, saintly persons, and transcendentalists. He also addressed him as Agya. Sridhar Swami said that Gya means knowledge, and there is no knowledge which is unknown to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Indirectly, therefore, the demon said that Vishnu knows everything. The demon addressed him as Suradhama. Sura means the demigods, and Adhama means the Lord of all there is. He is the Lord of all the demigods. Therefore, he is the best of all demigods, or God. When the demon used the phrase, in my presence, the implied meaning was, in spite of my presence, you are completely able to take away the earth. Nasvasti yasyasi. Unless you kindly take this earth from our custody, there can be no good fortune for us. Text 4. Svamna sapatnar abhavaya kimbrito yomadhyaya hantyasuran parokshajit svam yoga maya balam alpa parasam samstapya mudha pramraje surachuraha. You rascal, you have been nourished by our enemies to kill us, and you have killed some demons by remaining invisible. O fool, your power is only mystic, so today I shall enliven my kinsmen by killing you. Purport. The demon used the word abhavaya, which means for killing. Sridhar Swami comments that this killing means liberating, or in other words, killing the process of continued birth and death. The Lord kills the process. The Lord kills the process of birth and death and keeps himself invisible. The activities of the Lord's internal potency are inconceivable, but by a slight exhibition of this potency, the Lord, by his grace, can deliver one from nescience. Sucha means miseries. The miseries of material existence can be extinguished by the Lord by his internal potency, Yogamaya. In the Upanishads, Svetasvatra Upanishad 6.8, it is stated, Harasya Shaktir Vividhaya Vashruyate. The Lord is invisible to the eyes of the common man, but his energies act in various ways. When demons are in adversity, they think that God is hiding himself and is working by his mystic potency. They think that if they can find God, they can kill him just by seeing him. Hiraṇyākṣa thought that way, and he challenged the Lord. You have done tremendous harm to our community, taking the part of the demigods, and you have killed our kinsmen in so many ways, always keeping yourself hidden. Now I see you face to face, and I'm not going to let you go. I shall kill you and save my kinsmen from your mystic misdeeds. Not only are demons always anxious to kill God with words and philosophy, but they think that one is materially powerful, he can kill God with materially fatal weapons. Demons like Kamsa, Ravana, and Hiraṇyākṣa thought themselves powerful enough to kill even God. Demons cannot understand that God, by his multifarious potencies, can work so wonderfully that he can be present everywhere and still remain in his eternal abode, Goloka Vrindavan. Text 5. Vahi samstite gadaya shirnasrasyan asmad bhujachutaya yecha tubyam valim haranchasrayo yecha devaha svayam sarvena bhavisyantyamula. The demon continued, when you fall dead with your skull smashed by the mace hurled by my arms, the demigods and sages who offer you oblations and sacrifice and devotional service will also automatically cease to exist like trees without roots. Purport. Demons are very much disturbed when the devotees worship the Lord in the prescribed ways recommended in the scriptures. In the Vedic scriptures, the neophyte devotees are advised to engage in 9 kinds of devotional service, such as to hear and chant the holy name of God, to remember him always, to chant on beads, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, to worship the Lord in the forms of his deity incarnation in the temples, and to engage in various activities of Krishna consciousness to increase the number of godly persons for perfect peace in the world. Demons do not like such activity. They are always envious of God and his devotees. Their propaganda not to worship in the temple or the church, but simply to make material advancement for satisfaction of the senses, is always current. The demon Hiraṇyākṣa, upon seeing the Lord face to face, wanted to make a permanent solution by killing the personality of Godhead with his powerful mace. The example of an uprooted tree mentioned here by the demon is very significant. Devotees accept that God is the root of everything. Their example is that just as the stomach is the source of energy of all the limbs of the body, God is the original source of all energy manifested in the material and spiritual worlds. Therefore, as supplying food to the stomach is the process to satisfy all the limbs of the body, Krishna consciousness, or developing love for Krishna, love of Krishna, is the sublime methods for satisfying the source of all happiness. The demon wants to uproot this source because if the root, God, were to be checked, the activities of the Lord and the devotees would automatically stop. The demon would be very much satisfied by such a situation in society. Demons are always anxious to have a godless society for their sense gratification. According to Sridhar Swami, this verse means that when the demon would be deprived of his mace by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not only the neophyte devotees, but also the ancient sagacious devotees of the Lord would be very much satisfied. Text 6. Sadhuja manori duraktas tumharyar dam stragragam gam upalakshabitam Sodam Rashanirgad Ambu Madhyad Grahahata Sakare Nuryateba. Although the Lord was pained by the shaft-like abusive words of the demon, he bore the pain. But seeing that the earth on the ends of his tusks was frightened, he rose out of the water, just as an elephant emerges with its female companion when assailed by an alligator. Purport. The Mayavadi philosopher cannot understand that the Lord has feelings. The Lord is satisfied if someone offers him a nice prayer, and similarly, God is dissatisfied if someone decries his existence or calls him by ill names. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is decried by the Mayavadi philosophers who are almost demons. They say that God has no head, no form, no existence, and no legs, hands, or other bodily limbs. In other words, they say that he is dead or lame. All these misconceptions of the Supreme Lord are a source of dissatisfaction to him. He is never pleased with such atheistic descriptions. In this case, although the Lord felt sorrow from the piercing words of the demon, he delivered the earth for the satisfaction of the demigods who are ever his devotees. The conclusion is that God is as sentient as we are. He is satisfied by our prayers and dissatisfied by our harsh words against him. In order to give protection to his devotee, he is always ready to tolerate insulting words from the atheists. Text 7. Nisharantam salilad anudruto Hiraṇyākṣa dvir radham yata jasa Harala dam shruto sani nishmano bravid Yatarhyam kim tvasa tam vigharhitam. The demon who had golden hair on his head and fearful tusks gave chase to the Lord while he was rising from the water, even as an alligator would chase an elephant. Roaring like thunder, he said, "Are you not ashamed of running away before a challenging adversary? There is nothing reproachable for shameless creatures." Purport. When the Lord was coming out of the water, taking the earth in his arms to deliver it, the demon derided him with insulting words. But the Lord did not care because he was very conscious of his duty. For a dutiful man, there is nothing to fear. Similarly, those who are powerful have no fear of derision or unkind words from an enemy. The Lord had nothing to fear from anyone, yet he was merciful to his enemy by neglecting it. Although apparently he fled from the challenge, it was just to protect the earth from calamity that he tolerated Hiraṇyākṣa's deriding words. Dandavat Pranam, Bhakti Ras. Text 8. Sagam udastat salilasya gochare Vinyasya tasyam aradhat svasatvam Avishtuto vishva shudra prashunar Apur yamano vibudhai pasyature. The Lord placed the earth within his sight on the surface of the water and transferred to her his own energy in the form of the ability to float on the water. While the enemy stood looking on, Brahma, the creator of the universe, extolled the Lord, and the other demigods rained flowers on him. Purport. Those who are demons cannot understand how the Supreme Personality of Godhead floated the earth on the water. But to devotees of the Lord, this is not a very wonderful act. Not only the earth, but many, many millions of planets are floating in the air, and this floating power is endowed upon them by the Lord. There is no other possible explanation. The materialists can explain that the planets are floating by the law of gravitation, but the law of gravitation works under the control or direction of the Supreme Lord. That is the version of Bhagavad Gita, which confirms by the Lord's statement that behind the material laws or nature's laws, and behind the growth, maintenance, production, and evolution of all the planetary systems, behind everything, is the Lord's direction. The Lord's activities could be appreciated only by the demigods headed by Brahma. And therefore, when they saw the uncommon prowess of the Lord in keeping the earth on the surface of the water, they showered flowers on him in appreciation of his transcendental activity. Text 9. Paranusaktam tapani yopakalpam mahagadam kanchana chitradamsam marmanya bhikshnam pratu dantam duraktai Prachanda manyu prahasam stambhabase The demon who had a wealth of ornaments, bangles, and beautiful golden armor on his body, chased the Lord from behind with a great mace. The Lord tolerated his piercing ill words, but in order to reply to him, he expressed his terrible anger. Purport. The Lord could have chastised the demon immediately while the demon was deriding the Lord with ill words, but the Lord tolerated him to please the demigods and to show that they should not be afraid of demons while discharging their duties. Therefore, his toleration was displayed mainly to drive away the fears of the demigods, who should know that the Lord is always present to protect them. The demon's derision of the Lord was just like the barking of dogs. The Lord did not care about it, since he was doing his own work in delivering the earth from the midst of the water. Materialistic demons always possess large amounts of gold in various shapes, and they think that a large amount of gold, physical strength, and popularity can save them from the wrath of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 10. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Satyam Vayambo Vanagochara Mriga Yusmad Vidhan Mrigaye Grama Simhan Namrityu Pashai Prati Muktasya Vira Vikatanam Tava Brahananchadbhadra. The Personality of Godhead said, "Indeed, we are creatures of the jungle, and we are searching after hunting dogs like you. One who is freed from the entanglement of death has no fear from the loose talk in which you are indulging, for you are bound up by the laws of death." Purport. Demons and atheistic persons can go on insulting the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they forget that they are subject to the laws of birth and death. They think that simply by decrying the existence of the Supreme Lord or by defying his stringent laws of nature, one can be freed from the clutches of birth and death. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that simply by understanding the transcendental nature of God, one can go back home, back to Godhead. But demons and atheistic persons do not try to understand the nature of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, they remain in the entanglement of birth and death. Text 11. Ete vayamyasa hararasokasam gatarhiyo gadya dravitaste tistamahe tapi katanchid ajo steyam krayamo balinot padya vairam. Certainly we have stolen the charge of the inhabitants of Rasatala, and have lost all shame. Although bitten by your powerful mace, I shall stay here in the water for some time, because having created enmity with a powerful enemy, I now have no place to go. Purport. The demon should have known that God cannot be driven out of any place, for he is all-pervading. Demons think of their possessions as their property, but actually everything belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can take anything at any time he likes. Text 12. From Padratanam Kila Yuta Pidhipo Gatsvano Svastaya Asvanuha Samstapya Kasman Pramrijashrusvakanam Yasvam Pratigyam Nati Pipartyaspyaha. You are supposed to be the commander of many foot soldiers, and now you may take prompt steps to overthrow us. Give up all your foolish talk and wipe out the cares of your kith and kin by slaying us. One may be proud, yet he does not deserve a seat in an assembly if he fails to fulfill his promised word. Purport. A demon may be a great soldier and commander of a large number of infantry, but in the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is powerless and is destined to die. The Lord therefore challenged the demon not to go away, but to fulfill his promised word to kill him. And thus ends our reading for today. We'll continue from text 13 on Wednesday. Are there any comments or questions from the devotees? Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Shripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Acharya Dev, Srila Shanta Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Rupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai.
Jai.
All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the worldwide devotees, Sama Bhakti Veda Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Nishingapali Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham
Jai.
Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Baladev
Jai.
Subhadra Jagannath Ju Ki Jai.
Jai.
Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Giri
Jai.
Govardhan Gupta Govardhan Dham Ki Jai,
Jai.
Sham Radhakund Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi,
Jai.
Bhakti Devi, Vrinda Devi Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Jai Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai,
Jai.
Scientific Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai,
Jai.
Bhaktivedanta Institute Ki Jai, Sri
Jai.
Chaitanya Saraswat Institute Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya
Jai.
Saraswat Mat Ki Jai.
Jai.
Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari
Hari
Hari Bol. Jai Srimati Uma Devi Dasi Ki Jai, Jai Bhakti Ras Prabhu Ki Jai. Hare
जय श्रीपाद कृष्ण केशव प्रभु जी की जय।
Jai Gurudev.
दंडवत प्रणाम।